Hey everybody, Wagon is back from paint. I'm really excited to show everybody how it turned out. I think it looks fantastic. Maaco did a great job. I know we had you guys all guess at what color it was gonna be, so here it is. Let's see how many of you were right. Hey everybody, welcome back to Tenza Motorsports, and look, the car is now finally painted. I think this turned out absolutely fantastic. We paid $2,400, so we did $2,200 plus sales tax to get this thing painted. And like we've shown in the last video and a couple others, we did a lot of prep, sent it down there in the best condition that we could. There were some things that we kind of ran out of time on to do before we sent it down there, but Maaco did a really good job. I'm gonna be going over that in a different video. We're looking maybe at doing a cut and buff to just kind of clean it up a little bit, but for the most part, for what we paid, I'm very, very happy with the way that this has turned out. But like I said, we'll go over that in another video, just talk about the Maaco experience and everything they did to the car and how they actually helped us out quite a bit with some of the labor. In today's video, I'm just absolutely dying to see how the front of this looks all put together. Besides showing you the color, I really want to get the front end put together and see what it's gonna look like. So whether we're just putting the fenders on and just putting a couple bolts along the top and just kind of seeing what they look like, I really just want to put the front end of this car together enough to see what it's going to look like. We've got the depot headlights I'm going to be doing a full install video on, the wiring, and we've got really cool depot corner markers as well. We are doing side markers. I did buy some depot side markers and I really like the way that they look, but they are a kind of a white chrome look, and I don't think they'll look good on the side of the car. I was hoping for something a little bit more tinted, and they didn't come the way I thought they would, but luckily enough, for some reason, when I bought the grills actually came with side markers and the grills, and I was just buying the grills. So for the 20 bucks or 30 bucks or whatever the grills ended up costing, they came with side markers as well that are tinted and LED, so we're probably gonna be running those. But yeah, there's just a lot of off-camera stuff I've been doing. I got the mirrors put together. The little rubber pieces that go in between the door handle and the car, the previous paint job painted over top of those pieces of rubber, so I've been picking the paint off of them. Really just a lot of things that don't really create content. I polished up the center brake light that sits in the back of the car. Just things like that. So that's kind of what I've been doing. I'm gonna take some cosmetic liberties. The person who's having me build this car for them trusts me and my taste. We are gonna be wrapping the fog lights yellow and doing some fly eye tint on the tail lights. Now I probably won't have the tail lights in the car today, but I'd like to show me wrapping the fly eye tint on the tail lights. That's a pretty easy thing to do. I think you get fly eye tint off of Amazon, eBay for really cheap, and the yellow wrap that I'm about to use for the fog light, again, is the same thing. I think I paid $5 for it. It was a while back, so I'm hoping that the yellow that I have isn't completely destroyed. It's been sitting in a box. So I'm gonna probably do it for this project and then throw it out, because I played with a piece of it earlier and there's gonna be a lot of bubbles on the fog light until the fog light runs a bunch of cycles and bakes a lot of those bubbles out of there. And then the only other thing to really mention after we put the front end of this together is the trim that runs down the side of the car and on the front bumper that I did. I had it all painted up in the next video that we're doing. Didn't turn out very well in a couple spots because of my prep work. The previous owner who painted the car also painted a bunch of the trim, and the trim didn't turn out very well. So I prepped it and I painted it, and it's just had so much garbage and scratches and crap all over them that I'm having to sand them down and redo them. It's not a big deal. I just need to do it. So the front bumper won't have trim on it. So without further ado, let's get the front end of this thing slapped together so we can get a bit of a preview of what it'll look like when it's all done. All right, everybody, I think this looks absolutely fantastic. I'm just completely speechless. I really was hoping that we could see it with the trim on it, but I guess that's just not something that we're going to see today. One thing I've noticed just sitting down here is how aggressive these non-M fenders are. I know that the M's are a lot wider, but down the side of the car, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. So there's the front of it all done. Now we're going to go over here and show what we're doing to the taillights. These right here have been done with fly eye tint. This is basically just vinyl with little tiny holes all over in it. Now, these taillights are the European style. I looked for these for a long time. A lot of the taillights for these wagons are not very cool or modern. There's not a lot of LED options for it. There's just not a huge market for aftermarket taillights on the wagons, opposed to like the coupe or the sedan where there's literally 30 or 40 different types of taillights. On the wagon, there's really only a couple. And as far as I can tell, these are an OEM style that they did over in Europe. Now I've already wrapped this one with that fly eye tint, and the reason I did that off camera is because, like this yellow tint, this is very old, so I wanted to make sure that it was still good. And this is actually my last couple pieces. One will do this tail light, and then the other two will do the other two pieces to the driver side. I believe this is the passenger side. This is very easy to do. Really all you're doing is finding an edge and then wrapping it. This one I'm going to have to trim it down and make sure that I've got straight lines, and then I'll just run it across the middle of that. If you're doing really big and complicated designs, I'd be real careful about this stuff because it gets very flimsy. Once it goes down, it doesn't come back up to rewrap. So like when you're wrapping something, it's got a crease in it, you can kind of peel it back up a little bit and fix it. This doesn't do that. Once it goes bad, it kind of goes bad. There's really not a lot of give in this vinyl. We're gonna get this one done. I kind of want to just sit them on the car. We'll see if we can't place them back there and see what they'll look like without them falling out, because I really don't have a lot of this car bolted together. The front fenders are being held on by 2 screws. The front bumper just has those big long bolts. The hood's barely lined up enough to shut, and the headlights and those other trim pieces are just clicked in right now. So the whole front end, from where we saw it earlier to where it is now, is being held together by 6 bolts. Obviously I've got some tweaking to do. There's some pretty good fender gap and things like that I'll have to go and make sure that lines up right. So like the front bumper right here, make sure that the front bumper goes back just a little bit. But I also wanted to see it next to these wheels. So I think this car is gonna look so cool rolling down the street. So let's get these taillights done, see what they look like, and we'll wrap this thing up. All right, here's the taillights sitting on the car. I think those look fantastic. As you can see here, they're not quite in all the way. They're just kind of sitting on there. There you go, that's what the taillights are gonna look like. I don't do things like this to just constantly add things to the car. What I'm hoping to do with this car, with this build, is to be unique about things. The other reason why I like this tint is because it just gives it this really cool texture. You can see as you move across, it kind of like almost glitters. It's really cool, and it's much better in person. I wish you could see it in person, but camera's all you've got for right now. So here's the taillights. That's what they'll look like when we finally get them bolted in. Well, there you have it. It's been a pretty exciting last few hours seeing this start to come back together. I've got to basically take it back apart anyways. I kind of was just doing this so that I could show everybody what was going on. So I didn't leave everybody wondering the color and what it's going to end up looking like. I'm still really sad we didn't get to see with the trim on, but that'll probably be in the next video. The other thing we're doing in upcoming videos is installing the depot headlights in detail, going through all the wiring on that. And then I might do the corner markers as a separate video because they're going to be fairly complicated, and you'll see why they're not designed very well, the actual like connector in the back. So I have to go through and modify those to get them to work right, but it's really not that difficult. It's something you can do in a garage with a few tools. So we've got a stereo to put in, we've got the seats put in, steering wheel, reinstall the interior. It's just nice to feel that I'm finally on this downhill where we're just kind of putting it back together, because I felt like for a long time that I was just constantly taking it apart. And I know that when you're building something like this, you go basically all the way to the ground and then back up. We didn't quite go all the way to the ground like with the interior. We didn't strip out the interior. completely, like all the way down to the carpets, and replace that and do the headliner. But there really wasn't much left of the car when I got everything all stripped out and replaced and everything like that. So it really was all the way down to nothing and then built back up. It's fun and exciting to finally see it starting to go back and be ready to go back onto the streets. So thanks for watching. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down in the comment section below. I've got a couple people that are watching that are doing E46 builds like this, where they're taking an M3 engine and transmission, moving it over into, whether it's a wagon or a sedan, it's going to be the same process. But if you have any comments or questions, you can leave them down in the comment section below. I try my best to reply in a timely fashion. Also, if you're looking for ways to support the channel, I have Amazon links in the description below. It doesn't cost you anything extra to use those. Even if you're buying something that's not car related, if you just grab one of my links, click it, and then purchase whatever you're looking at on Amazon, that helps me out. That helps fund projects like this and other things going on in the garage. Also consider joining our Patreon. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button, subscribe if you are new, and we will see everybody in the next video.